Hi guys, very good afternoon to all of you. Welcome to the video number 402, and in this video I'm going to talk about two functions, SUMIF and COUNTIF, and we're going to see that if you ever want to use them in the Excel VBA, then how you can use it. You might be knowing their use in the Excel, but this video is for those who want to learn actually how to use these two functions in the Excel VBA, right? So welcome to the channel. My name is Ajay, and you will find here all these 402 amazing videos on Excel, Excel VBA, MS Access and Access VBA. And for more information, you can click on the playlist, and this is where you would get to see around 44 different playlists on Access, Access VBA, MS Excel and Excel VBA. So we have basic videos, we have intermediate videos, we have the advanced level videos, everything is there. Right now, if you do not know anything about the COUNTIF and the SUMIF, the first thing which you need to do is you need to, in the playlist there is a playlist called Excel Sum and Count family. So what you will do, if you just write here count and search for it, this is what exactly you get to see: Excel count and sum family. Now when you see that Excel count and sum family, here you can go ahead and check out this video number 180, where I talked about the COUNTIF and the COUNTIFs, in Excel. This is for the Excel, remember that, right? So I click back, and if you're looking for more VBA functions, then there is already a playlist on channel. You just write a function and you would get to see that playlist. So this is the XLF function, this is the mod function. So this is what you need to see. Click on the Excel VBA function and you get to see these all amazing 18 videos on the different VBA functions, right? You can see that we talked about the VLOOKUP, we talked about the VBA function, the basics of the VBA function, if you want to create it, how to speed up your macro, VLOOKUP in the VBA function with the loops. So there are a lot of videos specifically for the VBA. Okay, so let's come back to the topic. Now in this video I want to tell you that how you can use the COUNTIF and the SUMIF functions in the VBA. Right now what we need to do is, I have just prepared this dummy data where you can see that you have name and year and marks. So we want to actually find it out. Here I have created a simple data validation, and anything any name I select here, for example XYZ or ABC. What exactly I want is, I want the total mark. Okay, so better I write here marks. Okay, and here maybe you can write here the count, how many times that number is coming, right? So this is something which we are going to develop using the VBA. Now just in case, if you let me do one thing, let me quickly make a function in the Excel so that we can revise as well, and then we will use the same concept in the VBA. So if in Excel you have to use that, if you have to find out that what is the total sum for the ABC, because you can see here that ABC is coming 3 times, right? So obviously what you will do is you will use the SUMIF function. This is how we use the SUMIF function. I just write here SUMIF, and 3 parameters we have. One is the range, and then the criteria, and then what you want to sum. Where is your that sum range, right? Very simple. So I just go and I pick up the range, which is obviously going to be this range, and then in this range I select my criteria, which is ABC, or you can also write in the double quotes ABC. That's all up to you, right? You can write here as ABC as well. I select this so that it can be dynamic. Any changes if happens in the F12, that goes in the F12 and the criteria will change. And then what you want to sum, obviously I want to sum this. When you press enter, that's how you get to see here 600. So anything, if I go and write here ABC, you see that this will automatically change. I hope this is very clear to you. This is very easy, right? So we have here 100, and then we have this 100, and then this 200, and this 300. So all are summing up, and you're going to see here 700. Now how you're going to use the same function in the VBA? So we will go in the developer tab, and I go in the Visual Basic, and for example this is the module where we're going to write this function. Now the first thing is, obviously we're going to give it a name. So I'll write here, for example, COUNTIF and SUMIF. Right? This is where we are going to write the macro. Now when you're going to write this macro, the first thing is where exactly you're going to use this. So I have a cell which is called G12. So I will write here range G12, then dot value equals to what? Right? So range G12 value equals to, I want to see that what is the sum for the value for the entry which you have selected from this drop down, which is coming in the F12. So what you will do, again you will use the same function. So this function is a part of your worksheet function class. You write here worksheet function and then dot, and then you're going to use the SUMIF, right? So you can also use the SUMIFs, but we are okay with the SUMIF. Now you start the bracket. One thing which I always actually feel very uncomfortable in the VBA while writing the functions, generally you don't get to see the argument names. Like in this case, you see that argument 1 as range, argument 2, and then comma argument 3, right? So if you haven't really practiced on the Excel, if you do not know how to work with this function in the front end of the Excel, chances are very high you will be not able to write this function, because here those argument names doesn't come. But in Excel, if you go ahead and write the equals to SUMIF, you will get to see everything, right? You will get to see that this is a range, this is a criteria, and this is the sum range. But anyways, for us it is not going to be a problem, because we know this function very well. So if you remember what was the argument 1, even just in case if you don't remember it, don't panic, right? It happens. If you're a beginner, the problem what you can do is you just write here sum function and just note down all the criteria. So range, criteria, sum, range. So I'm just going to write here range and then criteria, and then here I will write sum range, right? 3 criteria you can write. This is how I used to learn actually, when I used to make the functions. Now what is the next thing you will do? So obviously the first parameter is the range. So when you start this function like this, this argument 1 as range, it also saves it as range. So what you can do is you can select your range. Now what is the range? So range obviously is going to be your this F2 to F8. So I will write here range. This is how I will write range. Normally how you select the range, that's very simple. So I select from F2 to in this case I'm going to select it as F7 only, right? This is my range, and I close this and then comma, and you can see that argument 2 is now bold. So when you have the argument bold, that means now you need to write value in the argument 2. So what is the argument 2? Argument 2 is my criteria, and criteria would come from this cell, which is your F12, right? So you will write here range, and then you can write here F12 dot value, as simple as that. Or you can also directly write ABC, right? But that's not the good way, because that is going to make your code static. F12, by linking it with the F12, you are making the formula very dynamic, right? Anything if we change anything in the F12, that is going to be changed, right? Now we are going to talk about the argument 3. So argument 3 is obviously going to be the sum range, and sum range we already know that what we need to sum out. So I just go ahead and select that the range which starts from H2 to H7, right? And I just go ahead and close this function. There we go. So I hope this function is going to work, and let us see if it is going to work or not. So we're going to F8, and there we go. You see that the function worked beautifully. Amazing, right? If I go ahead and change this to maybe XYZ, now let us go ahead and let us see that now you have a different answer, guys. You see that 500 is coming. So it is exactly the same way, but people they have this kind of a VBA phobia, so they think that in the VBA the function may be difficult to use. So I just thought let's upload the video on the same. Now similarly, guys, if you want to use the count, how many times the XYZ is coming, so in Excel how you do it, you use the COUNTIF, right? You go in the COUNTIF, you select the range, and I'm going to select this range, and then obviously I give the criteria what I want to count. So you select like this and you press enter, and you get to see the value. Very nice, right? So same thing for the COUNTIF, you have a range and then you have the criteria. That's it. So how you going to do that? Again, you will use you come here, and now you will use the function in the H12, right here H12, and then dot value, and then equals to worksheet function. Now what happens, sometime we tend to write the function like this, COUNTIF, and then start the bracket. You see that you don't see that argument 1, argument 2, and whatever arguments you have, you don't get to see that. But maybe you can go ahead and write the function, that how it is going to be, right? Is the range, the first criteria of the count. The range has to be, again I will put it within the quotes, which is F2 to you're going to write it F7, right? And then what you want to count. So I want to count, of course, the same value which I have in the F12, so I just write here F12. So F12 I have written, I close the bracket, and I just remove this code from here, and forgot to close it actually, the range. I think that's now yeah, that's fine. Okay, now we're going to run this, so let me delete that. Okay, now we have deleted this, and you should be able to see now answer. So first of all, I run this. Look at this, sub or function not defined. Now guys, it clearly says that this function which is highlighted in front of you is not highlighted. If you ever come across this problem, then don't think that the COUNTIF function doesn't exist in the VBA. You got to check. Wait, right? Wait there. First check. Maybe I know you must be very fond of Google, and you can, you go ahead and find it out whether the COUNTIF function works in the VBA or not, and I will also do the same thing. But I think before you Google it, you can also use very wisely this object browser, right? This is basically kind of I would say that the Bible of this VBA. You would get to see all the objects, the classes here, and their property method. So I just click here. Right now I just click here, so I just write here the COUNTIF. Okay, make sure that this is going to be the all library from this drop down. When I press COUNTIF, what happens, you get to see here the COUNTIF function, which is a member of what? Worksheet function class. So you see that here the worksheet function class, this class has all these members. So worksheet function is a class which actually uses a lot of functions, and these are all the guys VBA functions. You can see here. So whatever function you want to learn or you want to check whether it exists in the VBA or not, you can find it out here. There is another class. When I'm covering this particular part, let me also tell you there is another class. This is a worksheet function class. There's another class which is called the strings class. Now strings class, if you click on the string class, in the string class also you have a lot of functions here. Numbers of strings, you can see here. These are all the uppercase, lowercase, mid text, these are all the functions which comes in the string class. Class is nothing but it's basically a place where Microsoft has defined all the things. If you talk about the worksheet, then worksheet is a class, and in that worksheet class you have that worksheet object which is defined in the sense that what all things you can do. So for example, when you write worksheets dot, you get to see that drop down. So you can select it, worksheet, you can move it, so all these things are called the properties or the methods. That's how it is, right? Go and check out my Excel VBA introduction series if you're new to the VBA, or maybe if you doesn't know anything about this, or if this is something confuses you, you can go and check out that introduction series. I think there are 8 or 9 amazing videos there, right? So now what I will do, I will simply go ahead and use this worksheet function and then the COUNTIF, and now you would see if I just write here start the bracket, you see that these arguments will start coming. Previously they were not coming, if you remember, right? So when you don't see the argument, that means the class has to be used, class has to be prefixed. Let us go ahead and run the program. Here we go, got the 500, and now we don't get here anything. That's very strange. I didn't get anything in the H12. Let me see. Oh yeah, it is there. So sorry, actually it was moved to the right side. I couldn't believe it actually. Okay, so it is there, and now you can see that I got the count of XYZ which is coming perfect. You have the count of XYZ as 2 only. So if I just select this ABC, and now if I'm going to run the program again, let me run the program. There we go, F8, and you see that this is done. You have the count, and then you have the marks coming. So this is how you can use the SUMIF and the COUNTIF functions. And of course, couple of things which you noted here, I used how I use the object browser, and I checked before going to the Google that whether this COUNTIF function exists or not, because I forgot to write the worksheet function class, right? So generally it happens with the functions, you got to use their class, because if I just write here SUMIF, you see that I don't see the parameters. When you don't see the parameter, just stop there, right? So you can write here worksheet function and then .SUMIF. Now when you write, you get to see the parameters. It's more of a like in Excel also it works the same way. For example, if you write SUMIF and I just press, let's say M, you see that there is no help coming. That is the first indication, man, you're doing wrong, right? If I just correct the spellings, just right here, you see that I get to see the SUMIF, and then I start the bracket and I get to see all the parameters. So it works the same way. So that's it for now, and we are going to discuss a couple of more things in the coming videos. Right now I have just given you the understanding on the SUMIF and the COUNTIF, but this can be used as a loop as well. So definitely we are going to use it in the coming video. Thank you so much for watching, and please do subscribe to the channel.